Either it will be a super great talk, you will remember it for the rest of your life, or it will be a very shitty talk, and you will still remember it for the rest of your life. So I hope it will be the first option. So welcome to this session about Spring Boot for Devops. As you can see, I made the presentation just for you. So I'm Nicolas Fränkel. By day, I'm a normal Hybris SAP Now consultant. And by night, I do a lot of other stuff like blogging, writing books, running, teaching, whatever. My first time in Lugano. I'm very happy to be here, especially at Vox Days. So let's talk about DevOps. So this talk is Spring Boot and DevOps. Now, it won't be as large as all DevOps, right? So what does it mean, DevOps? Do we talk here about developer and ops collaboration? Yeah, I'm sorry, Spring Boot cannot help you with that. Is it about Puppet, Chef, and stuff like that? Neither. Automation, also not. DevOps term that I will use in this talk is very restricted. Basically, it's about knowing stuff about your application. Stuff that normally your ops care a lot about, like metadata, health checks, and metrics. So 3 little simple stuff, but super, super important. Before we go on, let me tell you about a nice story. When I say nice, pictures tells more. That the end might not be super funny, but... So, you are a developer. Who here is a developer? Who here is an ops guy who just... Oh, great. Great. So I hope it will ring a bell. So, you are a developer, it's Friday evening, you finished the project, and you're calling the ops guy and telling him, hey, finish my project, can you please deploy it to production? Yeah, sure. Did you write the ops manual? And you are an experienced developer, so yeah, you wrote the ops manual, and you tell him, yeah, sure, I did. Great. And is there a section there that when an exception happened, what should I do? Should I restart the server, call NM? Yeah, did it. You are an experienced developer, so you know about all those stuff. And then comes the last question. How do I monitor the application? Yeah, you forgot that. No, you didn't forget it. It was not in the specification, right? Nobody cares about monitoring the application but the ops guy. Customer doesn't want to pay for that stuff. So at this point, you have some options. The first option is to get to your project manager and ask for more budget. Will he be happy? Not probably. So it might go this way, but probably you will get a bad review at your annual review because it's your fault, right? You didn't think about it, even it was never in the specification. The second option is you still go to the project manager, but then he pushes the app anyway without any monitoring. I mean, he's a project manager and you're just an ops guy. So he has the power and you nothing. But then if something bad happens, probably as a developer, you will be the one who will be woken up at 2 a.m. at night because there is something bad happening. Third option is, hey, it's Friday evening, right? So you get my point. And yeah, I don't like any of those 3 options. I mean, it's not normal that in the specification you don't get monitoring, but from a customer point of view, yeah, you should think about that yourself as a developer. Also, every time you have to do the exact same shit, really, it should come out of the box. And Spring Boot gives you that, really gives you that. Basically, Spring Boot, out of the box, gives you non-functional requirements like metadata, monitoring, which is healthchecks and metrics, but also for your Spring applications, the lists of beans with their scope, the list of properties with their exact values, the mappings of the controller that are spread all over in the annotation. And if you've got a big enough application, that can be a lifesaver. So that's a lot of talk that I have done. Now let's have some little demo. This is a Spring Pet Clinic. Who knows about the Spring Pet Clinic? Not so many people. So old-timers, all of you. Spring Pet Clinic basically is a demo of the Spring framework. And what I show you is an enhanced Spring Pet Clinic, which has been done with Spring Boot. So since I'm lazy, I'm French, by the way, I've taken this enhanced Spring Clinic. I didn't do the port myself. And so you can see it's a nice application, right? It's done with Spring Boot. So it inherits from the Spring Boot starter parent, release 1.3.0 release. Now we are, I think, about 1.4 something. I'm not sure the 1.4 has been released. Anyway, so let's start hacking. I understand it's the end of the conference, so you know, if you have to go away of this room with something, it should be these lines. Wait for it. Spring Boot starter actuator. If you remember something, just this. Is it big enough? Okay, great. Just this, Spring Boot starter actuator. And basically, with just that, you've got everything you want. Now, let's start the application. Now, the problem with this application, it's a real-life application, so it takes a little time to start. Anyway, now I will go on the Spring Pet Clinic. Ooh, how nice is that? Now you can log in and you can, no, I must be good. Okay, now you've got some search to check, you've got a list, paginated, you've got an error mapping to just check that it works, and so on and so forth. So, and by adding just the actuator, I've got more endpoints out of the box. Like I told you, there is a health stuff, and there is the metric stuff. And there is, oh yeah, it's not super nicely formatted, right? Quite hard to read. I mean, we are not machines. So the first stuff to do is check on Git, because it's better this way. And I can just copy paste. Told you I was lazy. So with one simple property, because it's Spring Boot, I will restart and I will hopefully get something nicely formatted that can work for machine and people. So let's get back to our application. And I told you I've got stuff here, like health check, and now nicely formatted. Oh, no, it's not. So it's better like this. And metrics. I will go into more details. Config. So here you've got all the configuration values, all the beans, all the mappings, just what I told you. And that's super easy. 2 lines of configuration, 3 if you add the formatting, and you've got that. Good? Good. So let's go further. So in my introduction, I told you about 3 things that were interesting to us in this talk. The first is metadata. And metadata basically is, oh, you've got an application, great, but what application ID, what group ID is it? You have no clue. So basically what I did in my project is I used Maven to filter one property file that I want to read, and that displayed it on one web page. And let's do that, because Spring Boot is so cool. So here, whatever I write that starts with info, I will be Cicino, hey guys. I can get it in an endpoint called info, whatever I write. That's super cool. That means at build time, you can add stuff here, and afterwards, it will get displayed in the info endpoint. Super great. Or not, because it's static. It's not super funny if it's static. So let's add something dynamic. And here, I will add the Maven group ID. And if you know about the Maven filtering stuff, normally I would do something like that, project.group ID, and I will do the same for the artifact ID. And then I will need to go to the POM and activate the filtering. And did I do something wrong? Second line. Oh yeah, thanks. Thanks, yeah, that's a good. Told you I was tired. Anyway, but Spring Boot makes it much easier to achieve that. Basically, you just use that, and you don't need to configure anything if you are inheriting from the Spring Boot starter parent. And at that point, now if I run my application, I can get access to anything that is into the POM, into the same endpoint. Two lines of code. No, 2 lines of configuration. I still did do nothing. No code, no nothing. Okay, that's good, but perhaps that's not enough. What is missing there? Version, sure, version. So I could use the version from Maven, but let's say I want the version from Git. Actually, that's super cool, because at that point, there is a plugin that does it, and the people from Spring directly use the plugin. So here, it's the old version. It's a lot, but let me show you how easy it can be, because basically, it's just a stupid plugin. And I will just do that, because I've checked lately, and the last version is super easy to use. So again, I run, and if you can check, you see here there are a lot of system outs that gets written, and you can see Git stuff. And now if I check, hey, you got a lot of Spring Boot for that. Remember, actuator, that's the actuator. That's super cool. And at this point, we can check that the generated file, so it's here. We can check that there are a lot more properties. So far, the problem is that the code only read 3 or 4 properties. So you can hack your way into the code to get all those properties, or I think that in the latest release, it has been fixed so that you have access to everything. But that's still good enough for me. I mean, you can do more, but it's still great, because basically, we've still coded nothing. Okay, that's the first point, metadata, what you want to know about your application. Only configuration. Second point, health checks. Basically, health checks are a super way to monitor your application. Probably your application has dependency on infrastructure resources. What I call infrastructure resources are like the database. Databases are a very, very widespread dependency. Web service, the file system, anything that your application depends on, but is not your application. So basically, when you use Spring Boot, by default, for most of those dependencies, at least dependencies that it can recognize, it will create a wrapper around the dependency. And this wrapper is a health check. And that health check will return a health object that can have 4 status, but the most important are up, it works, and down, doesn't work. Now in latest release, they have added more options, but probably that's not super necessary. And you can provide more details if it's required. And then you've got a health endpoint, which will call every available health check in the factory, and those health objects will be serialized and displayed. And the good thing is, if your ops tools cannot browse a JSON, then it can check only for the HTTP status code. So how to do that? The bean must implement the health indicator. And just for the record, for the people who worked before with this kind of health check, now it has its own dependency inside. It doesn't use the Dropwizard stuff. So you are completely self-contained. Demo time? Demo time. I will create, no, I won't create. First, I will add a new dependency. No, first, sorry, I will just check the else of my application. So right now, I have 2 dependencies. One is a DB, which is a HSQL DB. Of course, it's up, and the disk space is up, so the status is up. Let's check the HTTP codes. Network, and basically 200. So now what I will do is I will add a new dependency, but this dependency, basically, I won't configure it. So I will use the data Solar stuff, which normally I should configure to use a Solar instance. So, but I won't configure it. So the dependency check should be something missing. Something should be a miss. Because that's what would happen in production, like your Solar instance gets down and you want to know about it. Oh, too quick. So I still have my 2 dependencies which are up, and my 3rd dependency is down, so the general status is down. Plus, I got this 503 HTTP status code. Super great. Still no coding involved. Okay, now let's imagine you have a web service. You depend on a web service. Probably you want to say that it's a dependency. If this web service is down, your application must be flagged as down. Let's do that. I will create a new class, which will be like health config. Here, I will say it's a configuration class. And I will create a new health check. Public health indicator. So my indicator return new health indicator. And do you want it to be up or down? Up or down? Up, yeah, you're a positive guy, that's good. I will say hello Ticino with details because as I told you, can provide any detail you want. And I will build the stuff. I will remove the data Solar dependency because I want my stuff to be up. It's better. Now I can check status up, hello Ticino. And you can call that coding, right? But for me, it's more configuration than anything. Now you can see that it uses the name of the method, which is the name of the bean, as the indicator. Of course, if you are really like, okay, but I want this name because your ops team want a name, then you can use the name that you want as a bean, and you will say, hello Ticino, as the name of the indicator. And now if you restart the stuff, yeah, there is a lot of restarting involved. I'm sorry about that. I still haven't found a way to make it more dynamic. And now I've got the name of the indicator as hello Ticino. So what if it has space or whatever, you can do. And of course, you have to code the logic yourself, naturally. So that's 2 points already. Third point is about metrics. Because even if your application has all required dependencies, you have no way of knowing if it will be able to handle the load. So you want to check that the page load time isn't too fast, too high, sorry. So who knows about the Dropwizard metrics? A few people. So that's a great library. I mean, basically what they did is provide a model like JodoTime did for time. They provide a model for metrics. And they also provide exporters to backends, to different kind of backends. For the model part, and Spring Boot kept the same concept, you have two interesting stuff. The first is a gauge, and the gauge is a simple value. Like the page response time is a gauge. How much is it? 500. How much is it? 200. And the second concept is a counter, and basically it's a gauge which increments itself by 1 every time. Like how many times did this page was seen? 2 times. Reload 3 times. Reload 4 times. Whatever. So if we go here, we can see we already have that, right? So if I go to another page, let's say here I want the home page. Oh, it's a little too big. And I will go to file owners, veterinarian, error, file owners, veterinarian. Here, oh, it is correlated, unfortunately. So we can see that here I have the number of times that the page was seen with a specific status plus the response time. So here we can see that those are gauges because basically the response time at one point is not dependent on the response time before. And here we can see the number of time is basically dependent. So let's say we want the root again. And if I do like this, and if I refresh here, I should get 2, which is the case. So I didn't lie to you. At this point, it's quite easy. I mean, your ops team had just to get to this page and scrap it. But ops team don't like to do that. They are like developers. They are lazy. So they want everything somewhere else. One of the good things is, in Java, at least, is a JConsole. Who knows the JConsole? Half the room? Okay, great. So basically, the JConsole is a way to look at your GMX metrics. So Java management beans. It looks like that. And basically what we can do is we can also send the metrics to GMX. Let's do that. I will create a new config, which will be called like metrics config. Yeah, I'm pretty unimaginative, I'm sorry. That's why I'm not a front-end developer or designer, I'm back-end developer. If you've got a better idea, I'm all ears. And I will create a bean, and I don't know why here I have to export metric writer. I have to use this annotation. And here it will be a metric writer. And GMX writer. Ooh. So I will create GMX metric writer. And I will return it. Now you see here that he wants something. He wants a mbin exporter. So this is Spring Boot. Everything is available there. I will use the exporter. And because, so this should work, right? 2 lines of code. And now you will see that, unfortunately, I don't know why, but there are more than 1 bean here. No, it should. If it works, it's good. Last time I checked, it didn't work, so that's good that they fixed it. And I will start the JConsole here. And I will use this one. So this is, I know this is Maven because it's written Plexus, which is a super old stuff. And here we can see that there are already some metrics available, because I already browsed the page once. Now let's say that we want to see the metrics page, how many times it was seen. Now how many times is here, sorry about that. So it was seen 1 time, and now if we refresh that page, and we refresh there, no, it's a demo syndrome. Yeah, you just have to let it a little time. There is some delay. But anyway, now we've got all metrics to JConsole. That's super cool. So you ops guy don't have to complain anymore. Yeah, because we know you're right. And now the guy is regretting that he ever said, yeah, I'm an ops guy. But this is probably not enough, because what the ops guys love are dashboards, graphics, because here even I cannot understand. So in that case, we might rely upon something else. And I told you about the Dropwizard reporters. I told you that you could export to other backends. So HTTP we don't need because Spring Boot has everything. GMX we don't need because Spring Boot have everything. But we want Graphite, this kind of stuff. Who knows about Graphite? Oh, not so many people, 5 people. Okay, and basically it's super great to watch your data. So it's not Kibana, but it's pretty good. So in that case, we have a little more stuff to do. Basically, what we need now is a dependency on the metric Graphite. Metric Graphite from Dropwizard. And you can see here that the Spring Boot people are very smart because I don't need to set the version. They already have that in the dependency management in the parent POM. That's super practical. At this point, we need to get to our metrics configuration. And then we create a bean again, and this is a GMX metric quarter. No, not GMX. Wow, Graphite reporter. And Graphite reporter dot for registry. So here you've got a nice builder pattern. The thing is, we have to set it the registry. So registry is a place where all metrics are set. And again, you don't have it, but what is super cool is that since we are using Spring Boot will register one as a bean as soon as it finds the dependency in the application context. So you just set that and it's good. You can prefix it, like say Ticino. And then you can build. But to build it, we must know where to send the stuff. So Graphite, we will create a new Graphite server. And what I didn't tell you is I already have one Graphite server running on my machine. And we will build it for Graphite. At this point, now if you return the reporter, nothing will work. And you will be pretty pissed off. What you have to do is to start it. And you have to tell it how many, what the frequency it will report. So let's say milliseconds. So that should be set. Let's start again. And let's go on our application and browse around it and be happy. Like veterinarian errors, find owners again. And let's refresh our Graphite browser. This is how it looks. Here we can see that there is something called Ticino. And the most important, interesting is the response time. So here we add a new metric. And we will set it to auto-refresh. Let's see the 2 lost minutes. OK, and just to be sure, because I'm not really happy with that, I will see that here there is a star, not a pound. OK. Just to be sure. Uh-oh, demo syndrome. Okay, let's do it. Uh-oh, that's bad. So guys, don't let me down now. It's the end of my presentation. I was so happy. Uh-oh. What did I forget? That's really bad. So what did I forget? Do I have something there? No. So it's sending the stuff. And now I will use my secret code like, Graphite reporter. No, it's good. Everything should be set. That's really bad, guys. I'm sorry about that. Told you, the best or the worst. And now it seems that it's not super great. So the good thing is that I did the exact same stuff some hours ago. Why does they appear? Response time, for God's sake. Anyone, any idea? Before I renounce and I shame myself in front of all of you? Sorry? Yeah, but normally, okay, I will just add one more and declare myself completely a fool. I don't know. So it worked some hours ago. No, it doesn't work. Wow, so fun. Ticino, I got that right. Build Graphite. Okay. Anyway, it should work. It should work. One. Basically, before what I just need is a dependency on matrix Graphite, because what I did foolishly here is I added 2, but basically the Graphite is dependent on core. So if I get the Graphite, I always get the core. Anyway, that's a good point, but it's not that. I can turn that into a context. Who can debug that stuff? No, it's a cheap trick. At that point, I have no idea why. I can, perhaps I can just do that again, just to be sure. And then afterwards, no, that's the stuff that I did some hours ago. I have no idea why now it doesn't work anymore. But it worked. You can see that, right? It worked. So, bad. Anyway, that's good. At some point, now I will get further how you can add your own metric indicator, because probably you have your own metric that you want to use. Of course, you won't be able to see them on the graph, but anyway, it's cool. So what I can do is just copy-paste, because one failure is enough, not two, please. So I will just copy-paste and remove that, because obviously it doesn't work now. OK. And let me comment the code. So here, I added a custom metric. I added a class, which is a custom metric. This class depends on a GoldService. Again, this is Spring Boot, so basically I never needed to create the GoldService. It's just provided in the context, just because there is the actuator. So I depend on that, and I create a new method, which I can name however I want. The important stuff is here. I say it's scheduled, or scheduled. I don't know. I never know. Ray? Scheduled. Great. And then I can I give it a name, right? Which must be separated by dots so that they will appear as a tree in either JConsole or Graphite, or not if it doesn't work, and give it any value. So here I just generate random numbers. And here I just create a bean with this class, and it's done. So if you have metrics that you want to have in your GMX or in your Graphite backend, just do that. So what? So I was ready after this talk to open my belly. But yeah, shit happens, right? Anyway, so perhaps now if I check on, I should have a new, how did I call it? It's called GoldCustom. So now I have to refresh because the tree doesn't get refreshed, unfortunately. And there is no GoldCustom. Oh, thanks, guys. So some of you are not sleeping right now, which is good. Still a few minutes left. So now I have to so perhaps I will do the same trick, like let it go, and then magically it will start appearing after some point. No, 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 no. No error, no nothing. OK, I will let it there, and after some point, it will probably get me doing something. Anyway, strange stuff happens. So this was a demo. Actually, there is a problem with that stuff. That means that basically in your development environment, you have to have Graphite running. Because if I stop Graphite, yeah, it's a VM because I'm, again. So if you happen to have a demo, Just check on GitHub. You will probably find something. You don't need to do that for yourself. Now, what's happening is that I got no error. Normally, it should tell me, no, it doesn't work anymore because you have no graphite. Oh, but no. It's still trying to stop, probably. Let's see. No. Fun stuff. So normally, it should tell me, hey, guys, I cannot send you stuff to your graphite because clearly there is no graphite. So you have different ways to handle that. Of course, every of your developer can have a VM with a vagrant. It's possible. It's not super nice. Takes resource on your machine. And basically, it's super useless. Or you can hack your Spring configuration to have Spring profiles. Who knows about Spring profiles? Nearly out of the room. For those who don't, Spring profiles are just a set of beans that get activated dependent upon a flag. So you can pass, like you are on development, you will pass a flag saying dev profile, and then it won't use the Graphite reporter. It will only use the GMX reporter if you happen to need that. But still, it's a little too much. And also, the problem of that is that it makes your application responsible for sending stuff to Graphite, which probably is not a good idea. So what we did for my current customer, or no, my previous customer, is that basically we sent everything to GMX, which takes nearly no resource. And then we have something called GMX trans to take the data from GMX and put it in Graphite. And probably you can do that with other stuff as well. Last check to see if it's complaining. No, it's not complaining. Shit happens. No, I will restart it. Yeah, sorry, you will have to cut that during addition. It's not politically correct. I don't know how you could swear politely in English, by the way. You will tell me that afterwards. So my last point is those are non-functional requirements. And basically, again, the customer doesn't care about it. It's not his problem. It's yours. So probably he won't be willing to pay for that. So you have to make him understand that applications are not only about functional requirements. It's also non-functional. And a nice way to try to put the foot into the door is to make him understand that also some metrics might be functional. So if you don't have Google Analytics, P-Week, whatever, you could get into analytics by using this kind of metrics. And it's a super nice way to try to make the customer understand that, yeah, this is something that perhaps is important enough that he has to pay for it. So I think that is my last stuff. You can find the GitHub project, Enhanced Pet Clinic. You will see that I have branched it, and there is a branch called Devops 1.3. You can follow me on Twitter, become my friend on LinkedIn, or follow my blog. And at this point, if you have any question, which shouldn't be related to the fact that the last stuff didn't work, I'm happy to listen to it and to try to answer, of course. Yeah. So the question is there any significant overhead? And that's a super interesting question that I get asked quite a lot. And my answer to that is, first, if I don't want to answer what is significant, and overhead about what? Memory, CPU, response time, whatever. So that's basically, I don't want to answer your question. Which would be the nice stuff to do, because my second answer to that is that's super not nice to say, okay, but I prefer to have to go super fast, but not know where. So it's better to go super fast into the wall than to go a little slower, but know where you are going. I mean, it's not possible to even think about that. So whether you might have 5% response time more, it's better to monitor. In all cases. Make sense? So in that case, if you are interested in not knowing the overhead of that, you have to do that in your own environment. Because basically, what metrics I can provide you with, you know, measure, perturbs, measure. So you have to do that yourself. You have to run the test into your own environment and to check how many times, what the frequency of your checks you will be doing. And for that, I have no answer. What I know is, for me, it's not even a question. You should monitor. And ask this guy, yeah, you know, no, you cannot let your ops people go blind, even if it takes you 10%, even if it takes you 20%. Of course, if it takes too much, at some point, you should probably be cautious. What the fuck is happening? It's not monitoring. That's something else. The stuff about JConsole, 0, nothing, yet, nada. 1% perhaps less, you don't care. I mean, your GVM is already sending stuff into GMX. Do you care what it sends there? No. Did you check what it sends there? Probably not. Did you say, okay, I won't send the stuff to GMX because it might take more time? No. So probably you shouldn't even think about not doing it. I mean, you are inside the GVM. So sending the stuff to Graphite is not a problem. That's why I advise you just send it to JConsole and be done with it. And then it's GMX trends that will take the data, put it where you want it. And also the health checks, super important. I mean, how can you not run health checks in your application? How many of you people have application without health checks? Don't be ashamed. I have. Unacceptable. I mean, it's like 10 years ago, we would have application without any tests. And now, do you see anyone saying, but how much more does it cost? I mean, no, you cannot go without tests. I mean, the test coverage, which is bad metric, anyway, is dependent on your context, but you cannot go without anything. Other questions? No, now nobody dares ask any question. I told you I was tired, guy. I might be a little aggressive, but I love a debate. I'm French.
Is there a simple way to add a security layer to the endpoints? I suppose?
Yes, so that's a good question. So is there any way to have a security layer on the endpoint? And basically, you don't add a security layer, you configure it. And normally, there should be... No, I know where it is. Just let me 2 seconds to get it back into my RAM. And here. So you can have anything, and you can, there is I didn't show you, but there is an endpoint to shut down your application. So for the purpose of this demo, I remove every security check because it's much easier. But you can add security check, and you can add security checks for endpoints and not for other. Like some endpoints are considered to be super sensitive, and by default, they will be covered. Other questions? Also, then I see that you might not want to have this kind of stuff at the root. Perhaps because some user might type something that you don't want. In that case, it's also super easy. There is a property for that, management context path. So you might want, let's try it. We still have some minutes. Now, it would be super great if my last demo would work. And here, if I now type management.metrics. Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, thank you.